Hey man, it's the Greater Podcast 2021. First episode. It's not January, it's February. We've been gone.
You've been gone. It's been good too.
But we're back.
It's been good.
It's your boy Moses, Mo Legend.
Gabe on the mic was good.
Sam is here. Sam is present. Sam is alive.
And there's a little change, you know what I'm saying?
There is.
So for this episode and maybe for the next few episodes, Remi's like on a personal hiatus or whatever. So he's just taking time to himself. Totally understandable. You know, like you guys make sure you gotta take time for yourself when you feel like you need a retreat. It's important to do so.
Yeah.
You know, and we had a conversation. It was cool, man. Like we love Remi and everything. It's not like he's dealing with anything crazy. Please don't.
Right.
No, it sounds
Please
like
eliminate all the
he's in
assumptions.
like rehab or something.
Yeah.
Making it sound heavy.
Nah,
Eliminate the
he's
assumptions,
legit.
please.
He's legit just taking a little break.
Taking a
for
break.
Like, yeah, he's actually it's good.
Who knows, might be me next.
It might be me next. Don't be surprised, honestly.
What is going on?
Hey, just
Rotating.
self-care is important.
So to compensate for that, we'll probably
Very
have
important.
a couple more guests on the pod or whatever to join us, friends of the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Just people that like you guys have said you liked having on the pod and stuff. But yeah, this episode you getting us. So
Three Migos.
I mean, hopefully you enjoy. You know what I'm saying? For all the ladies out there that miss Remi, praise God. It's just us.
Yeah, no quiet storm.
Man, moving along.
Moving along.
It's the Greater Podcast. We're back. If you're listening to us or watching us, yes, watching us, we're back. We've been gone for some time.
Definitely.
But like Gabe said, it's good to take breaks. We was actually supposed to come back a little bit earlier in the year, towards, I guess, the beginning of February, the end of January, but it was actually suggested that we take the entire month of January off, like no meetings. Usually we do like a meeting, like a vision meeting and talk about what we want to do, but we just said, let's take off January completely because of, last year was so big in itself. And so much happened, bro.
Oh, man.
2020 was a lot, bro.
It was.
Between everything that happened, personal health issues that happened, and just life, man.
Bro, the world.
Yeah.
The kingdom. Christians are at war.
Bruh.
What's going on?
Pandemic. Social distancing,
Bruh, having to wear masks, Mo.
bro.
Just to get some milk from the
taking
store,
hits, new friendships being developed.
Honestly, masks are now like fashion statements.
I mean, it's cold outside, so I don't know why you'd be mad at wearing a mask. Like,
I mean, yeah, it actually does help with the cold a little bit.
It helps keep your lips moisturized.
Ooh, tell us more.
And your
Come
face
on.
moisturized.
melanin.
Tell us.
That when you put that chapstick on and put the mask right on, you're sealed. You're good, bro.
Guy by the blood of Jesus.
This
For
guy
real.
Moses, bro.
Oh, but nah, man, we're back. January, the break was amazing. I ain't gonna lie, like a lot has happened since the last time we pod.
Woo.
And
Tell us.
Done life. But before I get into that, before we get into what we were doing while we're gone,
Yeah, that's hot.
I suggest everybody, especially those who create content, those who do things outside of their normal 9 to 5, whatever, like just their passion projects. It's all right to take breaks.
Yeah.
It's all right to just sit down and reevaluate what you're doing while you're doing it and just rest, like not think about it. Not having to get up on Saturdays and think about what we're doing or talking about. I ain't gonna lie, that gave me a lot of time and opportunity to just like connect, realign myself, with my walk with God and just like with friends and stuff. So yeah, man, take your breaks. Do that.
Yeah, but you was like a lot has changed.
Yeah, what has changed, bro?
You
Man,
just
same,
got,
You know what I'm saying? You can't
mean,
just gloss
hey,
over that, bro.
you
You gotta let the people know.
Say, man.
chill, bro.
Hey.
Moses got some news.
He got some news to
Hey,
share.
man. So what happened was I copped the ring.
Hey,
I dropped the knee.
hey,
And now your boy's engaged.
hey,
Sheesh.
fiance.
Oh my goodness.
I dropped the knee. Now I'm a fiance.
Yeah. It
Stop
hasn't.
saying the bars.
You know what I realized? Like, people ask the guy after they get engaged, like, how does it feel? I'm like, bro, it feels the same,
Right.
low key. Like,
Nah.
this ain't about me.
Right. That is very true.
I mean, I was telling him when you start having to say like my fiance.
Yeah,
you're like,
that does take a
That's
while
right.
for you to get used to.
Yeah, honestly,
issue.
because sometimes I just be like, yeah, my girl. And I'm like, nah, let me stop. Like, I didn't pay all this money for this ring to say
Come on,
girl.
Shanta.
You know what I'm saying?
Come
I
on.
ain't pay all this money for you to forget your ring. Say, nah.
Come on, son.
Forget to wear your ring.
Like I'm Say,
Nah.
that's happened a few times already.
Hey, man, Grace is
Hey,
covering.
man.
You know what I'm saying? I
There-
love my significant other, Ugo. If
Man.
you're listening. I put a ring on it for a reason.
It's
Oh.
lit.
But nah,
Proud of you.
so I tell like a brief story about how it went. I know people are wondering. So basically, I had told her, I kind of knew, actually, no. So I realized the date I wanted to do was February 3rd, right? So the reason why I picked that day is I was randomly going through like my images on my phone, and I saw the first time like she texted me like, yo, so like what's your intentions? Like what's going on? We had been texting a little bit more frequently, so me just keeping it strictly friend level, just trying to get to know her, see if I want to pursue this in a different light. So Gabe knows, Sam knows, we would sit down and talk about all this stuff. So yeah, I looked back at that message and I saw the date was February 3rd. That's the first time like she asked me. I drove down to her. I told her, I want to see what this happened. Like, we'll see what happens, and then I asked her out. So when I saw that, I was like, oh snap, February 3rd. Let's lock this date in, a random Wednesday. So I made her think like we were going to actually celebrate somebody else's engagement. That was a friend of ours, and like I had her sister come in from New York. It was in Old Town Alexandria, like right by a waterfront. Nice. The Saturday before, or 2 Saturdays before, we went to go look at a whole bunch of spots in DC, and like, most of the spots that I had planned to pick were just L's. Like, it's a good thing that I went, because if I would have showed up there like the day of, it just would have been an L. So one of my friends suggested Old Town Alexandria, and hey, for all the guys that think about it, there's a lot of spots out there. But it was this nice little like waterfront awning and right by the bridge. So I had a vision of this little hexagon with the flower on it. I bought it offline, and had one of my friends, Light, do photography.
Shout out Light.
Yeah, shout out
my
Light.
guy Light.
If you're looking for a photographer,
stop playing with him.
Hire
that man, bro.
Knows how to edit.
What's his at?
His at name is actually, my real name is Light.
That's lit.
Yeah, his real name is Light.
You're right.
But that man knows how to edit black melanin skin.
Let him know.
Come on.
I'm saying.
But yeah, so he helped out the brother. We were walking to the lied upon, or whatever she thought the surprise was. We was walking there. We had her sister sitting like on the bench. It was like a park. She had no idea. She was too focused, like not trying to slip on ice and stuff.
Right.
So she was just looking down the whole time. She had her mask on her neck. I was like, "Yo, take your mask off." Like, I'm thinking about the pictures. That's all I'm thinking about. Right. I'm like, "Take your mask off." She's like, "Why are you so worried about me and my mask? Like, I'll take it off later."
Right.
And I'm like, just take it off. But I'm not trying to give it away.
Yeah.
So we're continuing to walk, and then like literally we're within feet of her sister, and she doesn't notice that that's her sister from New York.
Right.
So then her sister finally stands up, and like she sees somebody stand up, and she sees like, oh wait, that's my sister. She's like, what's going on? And at that moment, she knew what was happening. So I was like, I slickly took her mask off her neck, because I'm like, we're not about to ruin the pictures with the mask on the neck. So I took that. Her sister gave her flowers. We walked up to the little altar, you should say. And then like I said a little something.
Yes, sir.
It's not for the pod.
It's not for the pod.
Just know God is good. And then I dropped the knee.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Jeez.
So then the guys, one of my friends who did see the video, saw that I got on the knee, stood back up, and then got back down again. But the reason why is because I realized that I was off-centered when I took my first knee. So if you go to my Instagram, you see the actual picture. That's the second time I got on a knee. So it was just funny just thinking about that.
This man, about his aesthetics. I love it.
I did not pay for this arc, this ring, all this stuff to just have a trash photo for the rest of my life.
Everything must align.
Everything must align.
Everything must align.
I feel that, bro.
But nah, man, engagement happened. It was very small, a couple people there, like just close family and friends. It's hard because COVID, didn't allow us to do it how we wanted to do, and like have everybody that we wanted to have there. But it was still very memorable. Even getting to share the pictures with friends and close family was good. So yeah, boys engaged. I'm just trying to enjoy it right now before any planning starts, which I'm not looking forward to. Which I am, but at the same time, like,
it's a lot of money, bro.
Man, take me to the court.
Low key wedding planning is like a form of premarital counseling.
Honestly,
like
having to agree on things, communicate.
Depending on what your situation. Some people just be like, plan it. They pay a planner. Or some guys are just like, whatever you want the wedding to look to.
Right.
Like, but some of us, like, we care.
We're
like, I cared. Yeah.
Nah, I definitely care.
Yeah, I was like,
I kind of,
like
I'm not like an aesthetic type of guy, but I have somewhat of like a vision. But, you know, of course, I let my significant other run with it, but there's some things that, you know, I definitely want to see in it.
Right.
But, you know, I ain't know, do they have a name for Bridezilla for men?
Nah.
Groomzilla?
It rarely happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't
That's
happen
true.
like that.
We just
Certain things you'll just learn to let go, even during the planning process, bro. Like, you got to pick and choose your battles. And not everything you got to,
that's marriage for real.
That's real, but you'll get a taste of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the wedding, in the planning process. So just, honestly, bro, just prepare your heart, prepare your mind, you know what I'm saying? And just be willing to, like, pick and choose, like, what you feel like is worth fighting over.
Hey, man.
So I'll just
so like colors, because you care about how much what your guys are wearing, you know. So
the thing is,
that
like,
has to be, you know.
Is this a thing? Literally, the day we got engaged, they were talking about colors for the wedding, and I'm like, yo,
bro.
just enjoy the moment. You know what I'm saying?
People
the planning starts as soon as the ring is on the finger, bro. The planning starts.
The planning started before that, like,
bruh.
Like, I'm back, bro.
Once you look at somebody like, I could kind of marry this person, that's when, you know.
Honestly, she probably already had a mood board and everything on her wall. She's prepared, bro.
Some ladies, before they give it to anybody, they got the vision.
That's true.
Man, I'm the type where I just take things one step at a time. Even when I was telling them, like, I tell them I'm getting engaged, they start asking all these questions like, you know, you guys have a date, this, that, and that. I'm like, one step at a time. Let's get to this first. Even my mom, she was just trying to, like, I'm like, Mom, all I know is February 3rd. I'm dropping a D. I haven't looked past that.
Right.
That's it.
Nah, it's hard to look because, at least for me, like, I was very afraid of that day when it came to, like, proposing. It's just, you know, just making sure your plans go according, you know, all your plans work out. You know what I'm saying? Making sure, like, the weather works out, like, all these small little factors that can really, like, right. I went to Philly for mine, so it's just it was a lot, bro. Like, and again, I wasn't dreading the day, but it was like one of those things where it's like, I can't wait to move past this because this has been on my mind for so long. It's like that exam that you are dreading to take, and it's just like you've been thinking about, you've been studying for months and months, you know. So, man, it's a process, bro. You know what I'm saying? But thank God we here now.
I know.
You know,
man.
So shout out to Moses.
Pray for your boy.
Boys on the pod, proud.
Percentage of 330 donations may go to the wedding. Psych, nah.
Wow.
This guy's a joke.
Psych, nah, bro. You know my personal
We definitely
line,
need equipment.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's one of the bigger things that happened while I was on the break, or while we were on the break. But what about y'all, man?
Yeah, nah, I mean, some of my closer friends know this, but I'm trying to go back to school, so doing that process, man.
Dr. Gabe.
Let's get it.
This guy said doctor. No, I'll probably never get my doctorate, honestly. But yeah, no, it's just I just wanted to go to school one more time and get a master's. And then, you know, like that way I can teach in my old age. Like I want to be a college professor.
Yeah,
like later in life. Yeah, bro. So
I can see it.
You know, like for me, I just know I gotta have a master's or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean that's really, you know, there's that. Yeah, life and work has been good. It's just, you know, of course, me and my wife, like especially my wife, she's into politics heavy. So everything that's been going on with the inauguration and the insurrection and now the impeachment, all these I words. Anyways, but yeah, it's just like
I don't even know it's been on one.
Nah, yeah. So the insurrection, the joint that happened at the Capitol. Yeah, bro. So you know, like that. Man. So we, you know, like heavily clued in and stuff like that. But yeah, life has been straight. You know, like I think I've been finding a rhythm personally, and I feel like the Holy Spirit, like I've been praying to God for more focus and discipline. And I think fasting in January helped that, but I've been seeing the fruit of the prayers where I feel like the Holy Spirit's kind of showing me new ways to handle productivity. And so like actual practical things, like the way I set up my computer to make sure I'm more work efficient because, you know, I just had focus issues or whatever. So, you know, like, yeah, and I definitely I was telling somebody I wanted to just get evaluated to just see, like, if there's anything I can do on a medical side for, like, focus and stuff like that. But, I feel like I've been seeing the fruits of those things and kind of just seeing, like, the Lord, like, increase my capacity as I'm growing and maturing, you know, the way I handle things. So, it's just been cool. I feel like the Lord is just kind of showing me a new light. Yeah. Really. Yeah.
That's good, bro. As far as myself, I think I've been being stretched as a
Crew Films
as a husband, man. You know, like, you know, marriage is a beautiful thing, but it definitely has its challenges. You know, so shout out to my wife. Shout out to Katrina.
To the party. Scott Moses look nervous.
Man,
he does. I mean, the thing about it is like
I be scaring me.
I be trying to give people like a realistic like picture of what marriage is
y'all
like.
giving that real.
You know what I'm saying?
Even sometimes when I'll just be here chilling with Gabe and Dev. If anybody knows them, they're transparent as a mug. So like they will show you what marriage. They're not gonna hide what marriage look like if you over the crib.
Yeah, that's real. I don't think you should. I mean, it depends. Like so, you know,
sometimes
we're not airing out dirty laundry, Michael Marie type.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. But yeah, I think I've just been stretched, and I just been allowing the Holy Spirit to really like lead me in terms of like how I respond. You know what I'm saying? Like really praying before like responding. Like, hey, should I say these things? Because you know, a woman when they open up to you, and as men, like you always feel like you got to like fix the situation or try to bring some type of solution. So for me, and this just happened last night, where she was telling me about something like she's being extremely vulnerable, and a part of me wanted to like the man in me wanted to be like
do this and do this and do
Bob
this.
The Builder.
But I was literally praying as she was speaking. You know what I'm saying? I was taking pauses. You know, not just feeling like as soon as she finished speaking, you got to like respond immediately. You just take some time to really think. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, let her know that you're listening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But take some time to respond. And she said I did a really good job at like not trying to solve the her
sometimes
her
less is more.
You'd be like,
right.
I have so many suggestions. You know,
nah, that joint is a skill, bro.
It's a skill. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I've been stretching that area, and I think outside of that, we're also moving. You know what I'm saying? So like definitely grateful that we're moving to a bigger space.
Big man.
So
debt free.
Debt free. We talked about that already.
Debt free, bigger spaces.
Bigger spaces. You know what I'm saying? So outside of that, I mean, like Gabe said, things have been straight for the most part. It's just a lot of like internal change.
Yeah.
Just some personal reflection. And yeah, just really just trying to just see that where 2021 takes us, and just making sure that we're as prepared mentally as we can, because we really don't know what this year has to offer,
bro.
You know what I'm saying? So just
we gonna see.
This is one of them years where I haven't seen one vision board party, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that joint, that
2020 discouraged everything.
Destroyed folks.
It's like, ain't no point now. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I'm just like, bruh, I think the best thing for me to do in the first month of the year is just like establish a rule of life. And I'm going to talk about a little more of like what's been on my mind, but like just putting together certain spiritual disciplines and like physical disciplines and stuff that will help not get me through the year, but just help me navigate through like life differently, you know? So
randomly, I've also been watching like a lot of like Denzel related like interviews. I don't know why. The man, like, he's a man of God. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know that, but his father was a pastor. You know what I'm saying? So he grew up in a Christian home, and I think his wife on one of the interviews, she was on Wendy Williams, and she was just saying like how like many people will throw like Denzel scripts, and like he'll only choose scripts that he feels like essentially he has a piece about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's just not going to do anything. But although at the same time, like when I watch certain Denzel movies, I'm just like, did you get a piece about this joint? Like, have you ever seen Equalizer?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, that joint is it's gruesome.
I love Equalizer.
So I'm like, this man got a piece about this joint.
You're acting in real life. Some people.
But it's just like basically, I thought about it this way, where it's just like there's bad people, and it's just like maybe him in his mind is just like, trying to weed out the bad people. I don't know. I don't know his like philosophy.
I think having a piece about it doesn't even necessarily have to do with the actual content. It has to do with the pathway of his career.
Right.
The effect that it has. So like, some people may think like, oh, piece about it means like it has no explicitness in it. Right. And he has movies where he cursing and all that. King Kong ain't got nothing. All that stuff. Training Day was but so I think honestly it's like with Jesus didn't choose to like heal everybody, but he went to after he was done healing a certain amount of people, he moved on to the next village because I'm about my father's business, and I have to be certain places at certain times.
Right.
And so he probably like took it the same way.
I
These
like
movies will put me.
Yeah.
I feel like even on that acting tip, if we acted out a lot of the Bible, we'd be in the same situation, bro.
Oh yeah,
that's
bro.
true.
Like if you think about David, Saul, them dudes was killing Christians, bro.
So if you. That's true.
Man, David, youngins just cheating on their wives.
Bruh.
Youngins letting their wives
like
sleep with other people. Abraham. Bruh,
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, bro. I mean, so people be like, oh my God, Game of Thrones. I'd be like, when I read my Bible,
But then again, there's nuances there.
Of course.
We'll probably do a whole pod on that.
Somebody's in their car rebuking me right now.
Yeah, but I'm saying we're not We're not even. We'll get to that when we do that pod. You know what I'm saying? Just hold on to that. Hold on to that.
This guy said I'm gonna call you back. Hey, bro.
But another thing is it's Black History Month.
Hey, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blickety black. Has anybody seen CB4?
CP4.
Yeah, CB4. It's a classic
Chris
Rock
in that joint.
Yeah,
who else was in that joint?
I can't remember who else. I don't know the names
classic.
of everybody, but yeah, it's a black classic. It's hilarious.
Shout out to Believe Mel.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Cause Believe Mel, like he stated something on his Instagram where like essentially brands, you know how brands reach out to him.
Yeah.
So I think he was saying that they were reaching out to him, but they were saying they don't have a budget. So he's like, "What do you mean you don't have a budget? You have a phone to call me?
You want to use black
you got a phone
Black History Month?
Yeah, I mean, I think he posted a video.
general?
It was in general, but I think he posted it in black. I think like the first week of February.
Yeah.
And he was like, "If I can die over my skin, like I better get paid over it as well."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Sheesh, like that's."
Hey, man.
He was
That's
pretty much
real.
saying everybody trying to pimp black people for
especially after
products
2020,
now,
bruh.
You know,
And it's everything like support black businesses. Yeah, people know that a lot of money is circulated from black people. You know what I'm saying? So
we influence a lot of culture.
But that could be a good and bad thing.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like, is it because black people just be spending their money too? Like,
No,
what I'm saying? Like,
I'm saying we add a seasoning to a lot of seasonless things.
100%.
Yeah. So they know that we just have better.
we influence the culture.
Hey,
100%.
America
Especially
has
like
no
right
culture.
now.
It's like, no, let me stop.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said America has no culture.
That's what I was about to say. What is American culture?
That's
Outside of
a long discussion.
It's
okay,
profiting out for black people. Anyways, let's continue.
It's Black History Month.
Yes,
You know what I'm
sir.
saying? I know Sam was talking about Denzel Washington, strong black man. But yeah, man, this is a month where I think, I don't want to say it hits differently, but I don't even want to say I value it more, but this one is just different. You know
I
what I'm
was.
saying?
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that. That's it.
No, I was gonna say I was watching a video where a guy was saying like people saying like, oh, there's not white privilege doesn't exist, and it was like the fact that there's 1 month to honor Black history and Black history is a part of all of American history shows white privilege in itself. You know, like because of the fact that But yeah, no, Black History Month is dope, man. I think it's a good opportunity, if any, to like tap back in to learn more history, not about just Martin Luther King or just Malcolm X or just Rosa Parks or just Harriet Tubman, the stories that they recycled when we were in school, but pretty much, just learning more about who did what, who made what, like what we went through in different parts of the world, so.
It's been, go ahead, bro.
No, I was going to say, I've been, so I know I mentioned this church a lot, but Bridgetown Church has been doing this thing, like a daily podcast, and they've been highlighting like people from Black history, but both in the past and present.
Yeah.
So like someone will get on and talk about their grandfather and the little things that they've done, right when they're fighting in the war and things like that. But then also recognize like Brian Stevens, and I know if you guys watched Just Mercy, it's Brian Stevens, right? Not Stevenson. Or man, I think it's Brian Stevenson.
I didn't watch Just
Mercy. I watched it, but I think I fell asleep. I'll be falling asleep during movies.
I feel like Sam says that to
I know
endless movies
I
he
know.
watches.
Because a lot of the time I'm watching them at home, and
at night
after 8 o'clock, RIP to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gone. Katrina be blown every time.
So I would be blown too, bro.
It's just like it's just one of those things I feel like low-key she may have to live with.
So funny 330 story or whatever. We were watching Soul at my house or whatever, and Katrina and Sam had were one of the people like couples here, and then I was like. They were like, yeah, like turn out the lights and whatever. And so I get really sensitive because I have friends like Sam where I'm like, nah, if you turn off the lights, it's going to make Sam go to sleep. Like, no, we can't do that, like or whatever. So I was like arguing with everybody just so Sam didn't fall asleep to turn off the lights. So they eventually turned it off. And
did I fall asleep though?
Nah, the movie was engaging. And Sam was like, oh, I like this.
That's what matters. I ain't sleep. Stand my ground.
Yeah, nah, Soul was lit. Sorry,
no,
what were you going to say?
No, but I was saying, so they highlighted Brian Stevenson. Is his name, and he's the founder of the Equal Justice Initiative. So they were just talking about like his story. And if you haven't seen Just Mercy, it's basically to not stay on it too long, but he took it upon himself to go and help those that are wrongfully incriminated, and essentially like work on their cases to prove their innocence.
Yeah.
So in the devotion that they kind of talked about, it talked about how willing he was to get close to people that were suffering, and how us as believers, it's a different type of perspective that you get when you get around those that are suffering, even though you have a race that is, you yourself suffer in some instances, like being as black men in America, but you still taking it upon yourself to go and help others. And he wasn't just helping black people, he was helping white people, people of different races. And that kind of inspired me to look at this month and try to figure out more stories like that I can look at and kind of aspire to do some of the same things in my life in different areas. So I think that was cool.
Yeah, a lot of streaming platforms are including black media too. Like, just things more than like regular movies and stuff. I was actually randomly watching Love and Basketball.
Man,
I ran it back just because, that's
was it on Amazon Prime?
No, I watched it on HBO Max.
Oh, they have it on there?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
They got everything on that. Every streaming platform is like getting everything on there. Yeah.
They going in.
I'm like, bro, it took this to get that.
Yeah,
but,
bro. But
yeah,
some joints have, like, I was watching one that was like about black art and pretty much like how they tried to like not deem black art and, like whatever. I was watching for a little bit. I didn't watch the whole thing because it was kind of boring to me. But, like it was good, like just to kind of see like, it's good to see history sometimes in a way that, like there are things you want to prevent from repeating themselves and looking for a more progressive way. There are things that you should just know about so that that sometimes for, like in America, black people are in a system that we're trying to break out of. There are a lot of mentalities that affect black people in America because there are generations of degrading and, like just diminishing and minimizing and stuff like that. So, and that's why I hate when I be seeing like black slave films in the, in the theaters. I'd be like, I'm not watching that. I don't want to go watch black trauma.
There's definitely a lot more than just that.
So it's dope. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's Black History Month again, and
storytelling, bro. Storytelling is huge.
It's been a lot of great movies that's been coming out that kind of like highlight certain black figures as well. Like I don't know if you guys seen this movie by Regina King that she directed. It's called One Night in Miami.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen it. I haven't
heard about it.
Yeah,
American Skin is also. I don't know if you guys heard of that movie. American Skin.
I'm not watching it.
Oh, you've heard of it?
No, yeah. But people told me that
this guy Gabe
people expressed the end, and I was like, I don't think I want to watch that. Because of the end.
No, I get it. So Gabe, when you want to recommend a movie to Gabe, sometimes like you got to be careful because he can either like want to watch that movie, like I gotta watch it, or it's like you can say something and it's just like no, like I'm definitely not watching this movie. I think you should watch it.
Joints that I be outside of the end. Joints that I be on the fence about. I'm just kind of like, of course I'm big Twitter, so like I like being on Twitter a lot, and so of course people just talk loosely about these things.
Twitter is not where you
go. Twitter is not where you go.
No, sometimes Twitter validates.
Sometimes.
Let me just say that.
Sometimes
Twitter validates.
Oh, at the end of the day, it's the opinion of another person. And I feel like you should still watch something, taste something, go somewhere for yourself.
I don't follow random people on Twitter though. You know what I'm saying? Like I follow people whose opinions matter to me.
I mean,
that's why I follow.
I do too, but somehow they be sneaking in there.
No, I'm just saying. Like there have been times where I would see people chat something up, and then I would literally go and go view the thing. I would agree. There were times where I disagree. It's just sometimes when I'm on the fence, it's like, am I gonna like American Skin? I was like, I didn't even think I wanted to watch that initially. I didn't have the desire. I was like, I don't know. And then I saw a few comments about the actual ending, and then I was like, I don't want to see a movie resolved that way.
So, I feel like I feel it. It's like,
but nah,
I feel it, bro.
That was just me. Like,
I respect that, bro.
For Black History Month, we encourage you guys definitely like to tap in just to different stories that are going on right now,
and use it as a launch pad. Continue after February.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Keep learning. Like,
even Black history within the Christian culture. Like, there's a lot, myself, that I need to learn about because a lot of what I know is not the full story. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely,
I think for me, I want to challenge myself in that area as well.
Do you guys feel like you know more about Black history than African history? Like as far as like honestly, where you're from?
I would have to say from where I'm from particularly.
Yeah.
I think in the past few years, especially like in my Rwandan side of things, I've learned a lot more just because of like the fact that I had a chance to go back home and learn a lot of the things, especially with the genocide and, the government and things like that. So, on that side, I think I know a good amount of the history. But on the Ivory Coast side,
let me make a small correction. African history is Black history. Because there are also people in their car now yelling at you.
I know. That's why I was...
Right. So African American history versus African history,
Right.
or whatever.
Well, yeah, for
That's
sure.
why I specify
the
like where you're like from.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, when it
'cause
comes
not
to
everybody's into terms, so you know.
Right,
like,
right. And I feel it.
If Katrina
Forgive
was
me.
here, she probably would have been like, Sam.
All right,
you know what I'm saying?
forgive me,
Nah,
everyone, please.
But yeah, because you know we have that war going
I know,
on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
please forgive me.
Forgive
Black
us.
Americans
Please,
versus
to those of y'all, I hope y'all didn't
Africans.
turn off the pod at that point. Because
Forgive me, I'm sorry. I really try to make it clear.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause,
but to be honest, though, I think I know it's easier for us at the table to know more about.
where we're currently at.
Well, no, I was going to say about African history because
okay.
some of our parents are vocal versus like our school upbringings
Yeah,
teaching
that's
us
a
a
good
limited
point.
amount.
Right,
So
right.
unless you're an African American studies major, or you know, like you have a friend or some, you know, like parents who are like, well, your parents you wouldn't know about African American history. So like for
Right.
us, it's like usually they always tell us about back home, Biafra War, like all this other stuff. But yeah, my mom's never talking about like African American history. And in school, you know, they teach you.
Never.
In
what I'm
school, they
saying.
teach you a minute,
Minute.
amount of
And that
black
joint don't
history.
even be like genuine most of the time.
Bruh, like I said, they be recycling
missing-
stories,
bruh.
and you know,
One thing we do know is the culture, though.
hey,
The African culture, for sure.
Oh yeah,
Stand
for
for
sure.
it.
That
nah.
show was ingrained.
yeah.
Tight.
So no, I mean, either way, you know, if you're a non-black listener to the pod, you know, learn something. And for all, you know, the black folks, keep learning something. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you embrace the culture, embrace who you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's hard, but we have to. We are who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter
Yeah.
what the world says, they love us.
They do.
Hey,
Yeah.
man.
I sound OC, but
Shout
you
out
know,
Beats
this is
by
where
Dre.
we at.
But nah,
Remember
What?
that commercial?
What commercial?
I don't remember that recent commercial that
I
came out.
don't know. What.
Nah, this
Oh,
man
man.
shouting out sponsors. They ain't pay us no money.
They didn't pay us no money.
Beats,
Shout
man.
out to Melina Masuke. So I'll just say
What?
Okay,
that. She's a director too. It's okay.
Oh.
This guy, he
That's
getting,
that-
he
Sometimes
getting in his
that's
niche
that cool-
bag.
I
Who
know.
films talk?
Sometimes I forget. Like
He get
people don't be
this bitch
knowing.
bag.
It's cool.
This man said, what?
Melina.
But but one thing Gabe said about Twitter that reminded me something. One, definitely wanted to shout out Mo and Foggy Raw. You know what I'm saying?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
On their
guys.
engagement, they went viral on Twitter.
Hey.
But then we also put our pictures on Twitter too, and I realized I had to change of heart in Twitter.
You like it now?
No.
Oop.
I mean, I do like
My
Twitter.
bad.
I do like
Right,
Twitter.
right.
But there was so much like kind words
Oh,
that
wow.
were shared and like quote tweeted. the
Of your picture. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh wow.
And people
Your
that don't
engagement
know
picture.
us just saying congratulations. Wow, may
Yeah.
God bless you guys. I'm
Yeah,
like,
man.
dang, Twitter, I didn't know you could act like this.
I mean,
Yeah,
people
bro.
celebrate black love, bro.
Hey man,
For
love.
real.
You know
People
what I'm
love
saying?
love, and then black love on top of it.
Yeah, bro.
And then black love with beautiful black people.
Hey, man.
You know what I'm
Tell 'em.
saying? And then the arch that you built, and what is it called? The
The
thing.
hexagon.
And then the
Yeah,
fit.
hexagon, and then
You know
the
what I'm saying?
fit.
Hey.
Woo, fly black
The combination
brother.
of all of that,
I
bro.
know we're not sponsored, but hey, shout out to the Unique Low for the
Hey, man.
engagement fit.
Hey man, say man, that's the brand.
Hey, that is the brand. I'm
But
wearing
yeah.
their pants right now.
Hey, it's
Shout out to
lit.
y'all, man.
But Twitter, thank you, man. You guys changed my perspective on you. I'm gonna keep rocking.
not
with
This
all
this.
man was
trolls.
scarred before. This man
It's
was
not-
afraid.
I wasn't
He was afraid to
scarred,
post a
but,
picture. Felt like he gonna get cooked.
I just needed to see.
not all
I just
trolls.
needed. It.
I
But
feel it, bro.
speaking of love, you know what I'm saying? We about to hop
Ooh,
into
King Segway.
the topic of the day, which is not really a topic. We just talking about what's been on our
Yeah,
mind.
man. Yeah.
What we've been seeing, what we've been digesting. And Valentine's Day is tomorrow. We're recording the day before Valentine's Day. This is going to be out after Valentine's Day. But the topic of love came up via this man, Sam.
Ooh.
And Sam already talked about how
Yikes.
when you suggest something to Gabe, a movie to Gabe to watch,
You gotta fight that man. Yo.
you got to fight him to watch. But we got him to watch this one movie. And I'm going to let Sam
man.
take it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, it's not really much of a backstory, but essentially, so there's this new movie that came out. You know what I'm saying?
Spoiler alert.
may be-
This segment of the pod may be a spoiler.
may
alert.
be.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about the movie.
So
if you
haven't
haven't
seen it,
watched Malcolm and Marie,
please pause
which
it.
Sam was about to.
Yes.
You may want to fast forward maybe like 10 minutes and 5. I don't know, whatever. But
Yes.
yeah,
Please.
spoiler alert.
Spoiler
Thanks,
alert.
thanks Moses.
Thank you, Moses,
Thank you
for,
for establishing that.
Putting that out
I
there.
don't want people, they wouldn't sue us, but
Yeah, no,
Nah, I didn't.
they'll just be blown.
So essentially, it's a relationship between a filmmaker and his girlfriend, and it's basically about a night where he comes home. He's a director. He got celebrated for one of his films. So it was a very good night for him. He's really excited, really happy. And then like the movie opens up and you can obviously see that there's something wrong with his girlfriend. Basically throughout the movie, there's a lot of toxic behavior that happens. There's a lot of going back and forth, a lot of yelling. So I guess right now we're just kind of going to dissect like the movie a little bit, not too much so we don't ruin it for you guys. Yeah. But kind of talking about like healthy relationships versus unhealthy relationships. And yeah, like just some things that you should look out for overall, you know, so.
'Tis the season, man.
Why was this topic on your mind? Like what? Because when you brought it, you're the one that brought it to us.
So I think, so when I watched it, I think it's because like I saw parts of me in the guy. Not like, so when I say that, I don't mean like
take it with a grain of
salt. How
salt.
OC he's toxic and how he's.
Oh
I don't speak to my wife like that.
Sam?
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not toxic. I'm not even gonna say that toxic. I believe I'm not toxic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
there were some things. There were some things that were
there
related.
were some things because he's a director and I'm also a director, and I can also see like how, you know, you can allow your career to get the best of you sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, like just certain actions that he was doing or certain ways of thinking that he was thinking, I was just like, man, like I really felt like someone reading my life. You know what I'm saying? This is actually very uncomfortable. Like I remember my wife was in the kitchen. She was in the kitchen while I was watching it, and like she tried not to like look at me at certain parts because he would because Zendaya would say something, you know, or he would say something, and it would be like a reflection of like either me or Katrina, and then like she'll look at me or she'll try not. She told me like I try not to look at you at certain parts, but it's just like I felt uncomfortable, bro.
Nah,
like, I felt like this was literally like, yo, like this is
guy
weird.
was sweating on his couch.
I was nervous. I was like, yo, where's this joint going?
Yo,
But it was. I think I recommended it because number one, it's a good movie in terms of just kind of like to talk about. It's a good conversation starter, but also it's a good movie in terms of like things. If you're in a relationship or you're seeking to be in a relationship, just some things to kind of like look out for. You know, so you're not in these people's shoes. You know what I'm saying? So
nah, for real.
But that was why I recommended it.
This joint was literally like because I watched it last night actually, and there was one part that me and Ugo, we literally just said like, oh my gosh, at the same time. It was a part where, this is one spoiler, but it was a part where at the beginning when she was making him the mac and cheese, and he could tell something was wrong with her. He said, Marie, what's wrong? And she was like, trust me, this is not going to be a productive night if we talk about it. And then he was like, I can't go to bed knowing that you're angry. And we were both just like, oh my gosh. Because that's literally how some of our, like, we would drive and I know something's wrong with her. I'd be like, what's wrong? Yeah. And she'd be like, I'm fine. I'm okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, even if it's not big of a deal, I'd like to know because, you know, in the back of my head, I'm like thinking, dang, what do I do? Did I do this? Did I do that? Yeah. So it was a very, very, very relatable moment for us.
Very relatable.
And we were just like, bruh, this is us type stuff.
I thought what was really dope about it and something to really glean from, you know, if you're seeking a relationship and you're watching that movie or whatever, I think something to really take note of is in all the toxicity, they knew each other. You know, like it's like they paid attention to things about the other person. Right. And so unfortunately they weaponized those things, you know, like in that discussion, but it was the fact that you knew that they both knew
history.
Yeah, they they knew deeply the person on the other side. Like, I know that you do this thing because of this thing, and this is how you were treated, and yada yada yada, and you know whatever it causes you to do this, and da 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 da. And so it's funny because you can have all that same information that they were spewing in the movie, like weaponizing, and you could use those things to love on your partner. You know, like in the same way, and build them up instead. But of course, the movie in that movie they used it to break each other down.
They would just be
petty, bro.
Some of the stuff they said was literally fighting words. Like if one of them pulled out a gun and shot the other, I would be like, I mean, we don't condone the violence, but I would understand why. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, it was definitely a great movie. Like, and when I was talking to the guys, I was just telling them it was such a acting flex because, like, of course, from the ads and stuff, like, I don't think this is much of a spoiler, but you know, this could be deemed a spoiler. It takes place in the house that they're in, or whatever. But it doesn't need, and it's all black and white, and it doesn't need. Their acting was so good, like the reflecting, the arguing, you know, like the expression, the spaces, you know, like just the movement from, you know, room to room for, you know, like different things. Like, I think it was just so good that they were like, it was okay, it kept you engaged during that time. Yeah. And I know for some people, like, it could have been a little triggering because they've been in like verbally abusive relationships and stuff. So I could totally understand like people who couldn't like get through it or anything like that.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, because you don't want to be reminded of that or reopen that wound or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
honestly, I think that Joan is like, I look at this like a film session, bro. That's a movie that you can literally watch.
Oh yeah,
and pause it. And have conversations in the middle of it.
Like break it
down.
Study
the film.
You might have to fade
and be honestly, like, what could we have done better in this situation? That's literally what it was like. And there was like, there was a couple of things like I just realized and just thought about during the movie. I was like, you know, one thing that you notice is both sides were just trying to win. You know what I'm saying? And they even mentioned it, like. Whenever somebody says something, the movie honestly should have been over when dude started eating the mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying? And not to get too deep into it, but like they just kept going and going. Yeah. But I realized like they were just trying to win. You know?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was talking to my friends. One of my friends who was like a little more married, maybe like 2 years longer or whatever, Jerome. And I remember when, like, way back years ago, he was just kind of like, yeah, man, it's not about who's right. It's about what's right. You know, it's like, you know, when you're arguing with your significant other, I know a lot of us have been in situations where, like, with our family and our friends, we're trying to win a discussion. But it's detrimental when you do it with someone you love.
You
like,
be winning, but sitting there like, dang,
you know, like,
I really just lost.
What was the point? You know, like, so, you know, it's
think
just
about the aftermath.
Yeah, trying to belittle somebody so that you can, you know, make yourself feel better and things of that nature. But yeah, man, you know, of course this is dropping like the Wednesday after Valentine's Day. So, you know, y'all, you know, this post Valentine's Day discussions, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, for real. That joke made me look at myself like as a man and saying, dang, have I ever done this? Not, of course, to that level
of
OC-ness, because dude was like very OC. Like
in my head, I'd be thinking stuff like that.
Wow.
But I wouldn't verbalize
that's
it.
Real.
Sorry, I'm joking. that's
I mean, just thinking that, you know, and
honestly.
I know that I have it internally. Like for me, you know, like there was a part of me that was like enjoying seeing somebody be able to like attack back. Because of course I'm trying to be a good man to my wife and the people that I love in my life. So I would never, you know, like tear them down. But of course the flesh wants what it wants. And the flesh and pride and ego wants you to like
wants you to know like
verbally cut into people.
Yeah.
So you can try to like minimize them to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
So when I was watching, I was like, man, this is dangerous. Like, you know, because I was like enjoying something. I was like, yeah, bruh, yeah, man, like, yeah, bruh, like tell her, like, you know. But I was just like, no.
And the thing is, both sides have valid points to an extent.
Of course, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? But it's about how far they went in it. And,
I mean, no one was right at the end of the day.
Nah.
Yeah. When you really think about it.
Nah.
But another thing that we were just talking about this before the pod, I'm like, bruh, women are really good at this in getting their point across.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like, bruh.
I be struggling.
She told this man, and that be happening to me sometimes. I'd be like, for me, it's harder for me to get my point across.
Yeah.
Because my mind is just like, what do I say? I know I feel this.
Yeah.
But like, what the heck do I say?
Men aren't taught to express.
Yeah,
so
bro.
we don't have as much experience. And when men start talking and expressing, people are like, ugh. You know,
and that turns people because sometimes
so we do it
talking,
less, so it's harder.
It doesn't make sense, so it'll look like they're like, "What the heck is this man talking about?"
Right,
and that discourages us to continue keep going.
So we'll just be
like,
I
have had many,
right? But then when they talk,
any moment we are sensitive, bro.
Man.
But then when women talk, that don't be clear, like they're
concise.
writing a thesis.
But you know what Deb jokingly said when you said that earlier? Deb was like, "That's because for us, we've been thinking about this for a break." You know, like when they bring up something, they've been thinking about it for a while. So by the time. By the time it manifests itself in real life in a discussion, they done already put together the pieces. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I just learned like, in situations like that, just to give yourself time to like process what the other person has said.
For sure.
Like I feel like there's a lot of pressure to like just respond out of the sake of just immediately because you feel like you just need to respond right now, and it's just like like I'll get back to you. And sometimes, like, your significant other or your boy, whoever, like, sometimes they may not necessarily like that.
Yeah.
But it's just, like, in order for you to really get your point across, you got to do that. You take the time out to really, like, vocalize what you're trying to say. Yeah. That's what I learned, you know, so.
Man.
Yeah, that movie was deep, man. Like
it was deep. It was deep.
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to say about the movie is the main thing that stuck out to me was, like, she was just looking essentially for love, you know? Like, she was just looking to be thanked and appreciated. And we and the guy sometimes, and this happens to us, like our pride gets in the way of doing that. Just like the simple things, just thank you, I appreciate it. And then just seeing how she, of course, some of the things that stuck out to me was like how she still made the man food,
mac and cheese, and he didn't even say thank you.
Right, and then even when
smacking on the food, bro.
That joint did not look good.
Nah, it did not.
It was Kraft mac.
Yeah, that box mac and cheese.
Yeah. She did it, but
they must have paid him extra for that, bro.
That's what he liked. So
I mean, I feel it.
So
and then the part where like dude would just be rambling, she just sitting there like listening and looking at him, like listening to what
he was patient.
I'm like, wow.
She could have slapped him so many. I'm really surprised there was no like, some physical abuse in this film, bro.
Bruh.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that they didn't include that, because I do feel like it's possible to get into these things without it having to go that far. But it was surprising because again, I know I would never hit my wife. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I know there's some women who can definitely like throw the hands. You know what I'm saying? Based off like some things that you say. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely justified. If I got slapped by my wife because of something I said, I would be like, you know what, I deserve that. But I can never like justify me, hitting my spot. That's wild.
And then one thing that challenged me for sure is, of course, like showing that love side, but the that last scene when it just talks about like the man essentially being complacent and thinking that, when somebody already loves them, they're not going anywhere.
It's like a narcissistic kind of deal where it's like, I think I'm as good as I'm going to be.
Right. Yeah.
And it's fortunate for you. It's fortunate for you that you get to experience this. And then I'm bro.
I was like, Jesus,
bro,
I need to be better at all. And any like I'm not even saying that in a place where I'm like, I feel like I'm at that place, but I feel like I have to consistently like combat that. You know what I'm saying? Like even now, we just got engaged. I could be like, oh yeah, we good. Like we engaged. I don't gotta do much else. That movie was like, nah,
it's just
brother.
The beginning.
Bro. Nah, brother.
Nah. It's just the
you gotta keep it going. But nah, that movie, it definitely causes you to look inside yourself. So, man,
communication is key.
Hey, sometimes the best relationship series or sermons is looking at situations like that.
Yeah.
And just I'm laughing at the part where she played the song.
Right.
What song?
There was a song to communicate how she felt when the song was like they telling you to leave. Yeah, he wanted you to tell you. But what's funny is he left before. In the song, there was like a call and response kind of thing, and he left. And then at the song was pretty much the girl saying like, "No, I won't go. Like regardless of what y'all say, I'm not leaving."
Nah, in that situation, bro, you might need to leave, dog. I know y'all love each other,
so
I know y'all, but this don't look like it's going to. I mean, honestly, there's grace and God could do anything.
Yes, sir.
But in this situation, bro, I don't know if I could advise her to stay, bro.
Great movie, great flex. I mean, it was just great acting. I thought it was good.
So I guess to ask this question, like, when do you know when to quit?
Bruh.
Quit what? A relationship?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel
like especially that was doing more
so it looked like they were just dating, so I don't think they were married.
No, they were dating.
So let's say you are married. I guess because you could talk about both sides. Yeah. But like, both sides, like, when do you know?
Man, that's why I think that's why when you're married, you need to really see all these sides of this person. Because imagine y'all get married, y'all doing lovey-dovey, and now you're in this situation married, bruh.
But the thing about it is, like, I've heard many times, like, maybe like year 5, year 6 in your marriage is when you guys really, there's certain things that really start to unpack.
Because things put pressure.
Yeah, so when you have kids, when certain responsibilities now get added to your plate, like, you'll see sides of yourself that you didn't even know was there. You know what I'm saying? Both good or bad.
That's the thing that I think is important, right? With you saying that, because I think a lot of people believe that they can't learn more about themselves before going into marriage and dating.
That's real.
And it's like you have to learn.
Preach
and
to
I think,
me.
Like therapy and all these things are important. Self-reflection is important because when you bring another person into your life, like I always, like younger people will ask me, like, when did you know that you wanted to be in a relationship, blah, 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 or they express that they want to date somebody or whatever. I'm like, how much do you know about yourself? Because you're going to have triggers that come up while you're just, like arguing with your significant other that are going to be very relevant to your upbringing that you haven't thought about. Like, I react this way when Deb says these things to me because of the fact that when I used to live with my mom, she used to talk to me like this, and it made me feel this way, and now it's manifesting itself in this conversation. Yeah, so it's like being able to, because when you're able to do that, you're giving the person on the other side the tools to like understand you. Like you're creating compassion through understanding. Like, okay, this is what I used to go through. This is why what you say when this happens, and this takes vulnerability too. So all these things, like, you know, like I'm telling you this because, you know, and I realize like when me and Deb have those conversations, like within arguments, like, or I have the realization that, you know what, I was defensive when you said this thing to me because of X, Y, and Z. Now, this could have been after all the hoopla fighting, but I come back and say, I was thinking about it, and I realized that when you said this, it made me feel this way because of X, Y, Z, building history. Not to say that I was right in reacting this way, but, you know, whatever. And so, like, people just have to, like, that's why I was like, dating is important, seeing the person in different environments is important. But yeah, I think at a certain point in time, everything's not going to work out, you know, like, and sometimes you have to just realize like what's, you know, like, I'm not going to say what's not for you is not for you, because that's a really lazy way of, you know, like putting it to me, in my opinion, as Gabe. I had to add those qualifiers, but you know, like, I do think that at a certain point you kind of see that there's no productivity. There's no, this person isn't trying to grow. You know, they're not trying to mature, you know, and on the side of marriage, when those things hit, it's, you made a covenant and you have to continually, daily make a choice to love this person.
I think, man, if this was like for that relationship, and I think one thing I pulled from that is that the guy would be, they were both just hurting each other, bro.
Yep.
Like, they were just hurting each other. And if you're in a situation like that, y'all need time apart, bro. And not to say y'all can never get back together or whatever, but like, you guys are doing more harm to each other than you guys are doing benefiting each other, because literally she's a recovering addict, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things that he said were slicing her, like her
wrist.
No, a lot of things he said about both, like what she did with drugs and her being damaged and not being able to let anybody love her. He was doing the damaging to her by bringing a lot of those things up, and not really helping her recover from that, but like more so building her down than telling her to get up. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny.
So I'm like, in that situation, bruh, I'd be like, yo, get out of there, bruh. Like, he needs to get help. You need to get help. Just go.
But what if that was just one bad night?
Yeah,
man, you know, so
could have been.
That's the thing.
It could have been one extreme night.
That's because the thing is, like, contextually, and obviously
that don't look like it's one night, bro.
I mean, the thing is, like,
they look too comfortable doing that.
You just never know. That's the thing. And
they
that's
could be
why
an intense couple, though.
That's true too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there are couples like that where when you increase the heat, you increase the heat. Like, for us, when we, not saying that's how me and Deb are, but Deb and I are, but I'm just saying, like, for some couples, it's just the intensity is just, they know that that's how they, you know,
that's how they're
okay with that person. Yeah. You know, like, that's how.
I mean, yeah.
Not saying it's okay in general, but.
I was about to say, sometimes what you're comfortable with isn't
come on,
right. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, that's a word.
So even if you're comfortable with dishing it out and taking it like that, bro, there's better in life.
Doesn't mean it's good for you.
There's something better out there.
Legit,
you don't need to be
there are people who usually usually are with hurt people, and then when they get into a healthy situation, it feels weird.
It feels weird.
Yeah,
and that's why people self-sabotage, bro.
Yep.
So I mean, at the end of the day, you got to want it for yourself. You got to realize, like, you know, there can be better out there. You know what I'm saying?
And there is better out there.
Yeah, and there is better out there.
You know what I'm saying? There is. It's definitely better out there.
Because that joint was just hurting me, bro. I'm just, the joint when they was in the tub.
I thought it was great. Yeah, but bro.
That man, not like.
Yeah.
And she couldn't go nowhere, bro.
Just watch the movie. Just watch the movie. If it triggers you just based off what we're saying, then obviously don't watch it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's certainly
if you want to learn some things
in it.
So.
But nah, man, I took that movie as like a opportunity
to grow,
but also be a better man to my significant other, bro. Because bruh, I mean, honestly, a movie that actually I'm thinking about if a movie was opposite of like showing how the healthy are you and stuff like that, it wouldn't be as It wouldn't be as slit.
Yeah. And that's the issue. Like, I feel like a lot of people want to watch movies that there's obviously drama. You know what I'm saying? No one's paying to see, like, oh, like, these people are in a great marriage and a great relationship and everything is just.
Yeah. I think
no one wants to pay to see that, bro.
I think people relate to that sometimes. Yeah. And it's easier to watch that. And, you know, like, it's easier to watch somebody else do that
Right.
And because you relate to it, you're like, yeah, you know, it could be like a sports game,
right?
Where you're cheering for one side more than the other. Anyways,
and I think, and I'm just say this last thing. I think this movie did a good job at communicating how like a lot of people in marriages or relations feel, or like because certain people in those relations may not necessarily know how to communicate it the way that you know they did on film. I'm not saying like in like the toxic way, but there were some like real underlying things that each side said. You know what I'm saying? That was true as far as like the person's character, like what you said hurt me. Like when she called him mediocre, she was like, "Without me, this film wouldn't have been created."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that like you can see like how much that hurt. He's like, "Wait, do you really think of me?"
Honestly, bruh.
That's painful.
She said endless stuff, and he was like,
"That's the thing.
So
That's
mediocre.
right?" And she said, "You telling me that's all you said?" Right.
Right.
That stuff cuts.
Nah, so the stuff that hurts the most is the stuff that
Like,
dang,
man.
bro, she called me mediocre. Because like us men, you know, words of affirmation.
That's huge.
It's huge for us.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Malcolm and Marie is a great movie. Check it out.
Check it out.
You know, there's a lot to be
Netflix.
said and learned and seen in it. But yeah, I know the next thing we were like going to talk about or whatever was something that. So I feel like I've been seeing this a lot.
Oh, okay.
I've been seeing this.
Gabe.
I've been seeing this a lot. Christians, my fellow brethren.
Let me start saying this is Gems by Gabe right now. This is your segment.
So this is you know what really grinds my gears. But no, so I've just been seeing and it was with this Mike Todd clip of him in the rain and. Like him in the water and stuff like that.
I was sorry. I was just thinking about You Got Served when Omarion was dancing in the rain.
Yeah, to be honest, to be on the record, I thought him walking in the water was cool until it was actually raining.
What?
Then I was
You
like,
thought it was cool?
I was like, that's a bit too much. The rain was a bit too much. Yeah, I thought the water was cool, but to me, I think Christians have grown too comfortable. Like, there's accountability and criticism, and then there's like tearing down a person, and I think for me, what I've really seen, like for me personally, and that's why I'm adding these qualifiers or identifiers, whatever you want to call them. Like, I think I've just seen a lot of times where believers were really comfortable throwing stones at the church with non-believers, so like people who are out of the church will bash things that are happening internally, and we don't defend the faith at all. You know what I'm saying? And of course there's a difference between defending the faith and kind of like simping for your pastor. And what I mean by simping is just accessing you're right, exactly. Just pretty much being a yes man for pastors, preachers and stuff like that. But I personally think what I've seen a lot is just us kind of like when the world kind of says something funny about like a pastor or whatever, we're just like, ha ha, and it's like
it'd be funny though. I ain't gonna lie.
You go to that church, bro.
Some of them Mike Todd memes was,
So, and I do think there's accountability here.
Yeah, sure.
And I do think there's supposed to be criticism because you don't just let leaders do whatever they do.
Right.
That's how they kind of go off into control. But I do believe there's a portion of believing the best. I think some people take some things that are outward and then they judge the inward immediately. And we've already, as believers, we've been taught to look at the heart, not the external. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we've been told, like, when God was talking to, I think, whoever was going to go see David, that's when he said that verse, man looks at the outward appearance and God looks at the heart or whatever. And so pretty much I just think that for me, I have to rebuke us Christians because we have to make sure that we're believing the best in some of these situations. Now, like I said, I don't think that means, because like I said, I do think for specifically the Mike Todd situation, because there's so many layers to it. There's him talking about the silhouette challenge and, like him being in the water and whatever. But I do think that, there's a portion of us constricting and filtering what we say about what he did.
Yeah. I think that's a good point that you bring up.
Yeah.
Because those two sides that you brought up, like, the yes men side of things where some of our pastors, they could say whatever.
Right.
And we just
and
gonna
just
back
stand
them
by
up.
it.
You know what I'm saying? Even if they're wrong or they did something or even what the criticism is understandable. Like,
the disciples questioned Jesus sometimes. They were like, he'd be like, stop that. This is really what's real. Sorry.
But I think that the yes man side of things is like, and we always go back to this, is idolizing our leaders and our pastors to a point where they're beyond reproach.
Yep.
And I think that is something that we need to get out of. Like, and it's we talk about this all the time, man. It's harder with like social media culture. And I was actually listening to the Jesus Culture podcast. It's a tough podcast.
Love it.
And they were talking about just the topic of leaders falling, right? And how what we've created this Christian culture to be, which is idolizing these people and being impressed by things that Jesus isn't necessarily impressed by, like the numbers, how many people we can attract, the lofty speech and all that. Not to say this stuff is bad, but it's not. Like, Jesus wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's go, like da. But Jesus would be like, all right, that's cool, but what about this? Like, what about the heart? What about the motive? What about all this? So yeah, we become yes men in so many situations, right? Which contributes to like this whole Mike Todd thing, because that could have been internal, right? He could have brought this up and be like, this is what I'm thinking, and then somebody be like, Pastor Mike, I don't know, man. What about this? What are we really trying to convey here? But then on the other side, I do agree, like, we be like throwing stones at our own leaders, but we're called to redeem our leaders in a different way. Because there's already enough pressure coming at church leaders and just leaders in the Christian community in general, just from the outside in. But as we're leaders, even when a leader falls, or when somebody's gone off track, like, we're called to help redeem everybody, so that in the long run of things, everything is beneficial to our souls and our body and our walk with Christ, but also to those that are looking on the outside, seeing that this is an opportunity. But yeah, like, I'm not with this Mike Todd situation particularly. Like, I think that there's some valid concerns that were brought up.
Definitely.
A lot of valid concerns.
I think delivery method is important. Like, there's two ways to say he did too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's, so I just think that some of us, the way we kind of like, just tack on stuff. Sam, I don't know how much you had to add, but
no, I was just gonna say, are we more so just focusing on like what he said about the silhouette challenge, or just his whole?
I was thinking about the display.
Just the display.
The silhouette challenge thing, I feel like that's not worthy of arguing about. Like,
right. There was nothing wrong there.
Yeah, well, some people think it was a sexist thing. because the example he used for a male,
it wasn't
as shallow, or
they weren't comparable.
Yeah,
I should say
to some people. To
some people, they because of course, a lot of people feel. Well, not a lot of people feel. A lot of the narrative is like men and women aren't held to the same standards when it comes to
correct.
Church and
life.
Christianity, which is I could definitely agree there. So a lot of that comparison, putting those two together, is what those concerns were about. But I think, the whole situation, because he was trying to get, the bigger message he was trying to get across was the impressive versus impactful.
Yeah.
And a lot of people felt as though,
he was trying to be impressive.
Yeah.
Right. Because
if you look at the track record, you look at a lot of things, not even
with
just this situation
in
general.
Yeah.
So that's a valid concern. You know what I'm saying? If
his quote unquote modesty isn't in a place where he himself, where he's preaching.
Right.
Is it seem
the guy
like
be showing his Tesla like every time on IG?
I've never seen his Tesla, but I've seen some other things where I'm like, you didn't have to strategically stand here in this way to make sure that these things are seen. I'm like.
So it's just that aspect of like, all right, this is what we're preaching, but like, let's really dissect this. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like, I love to have conversations. You know what I'm saying? I love to sit down and talk. But I think that's where the bigger thing was, like, the whole impressive versus impactful. All right, let's really digest that. What does that look like? Being impressive means you got thousands and thousands of followers and all this type of stuff. But what does really being impactful mean? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it might mean not doing as many Instagram stories as you do, or like not really doing everything for the gram, but focusing on.
I feel like it's hard now because I feel like a lot of us measure impact by those same exact things. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, how do you really discern the difference between the two? Like whether I'm being impressive or impactful, or is it possible to even do both? You know what I'm saying? Can I impress you and impact you at the same time?
I feel like if you want to be impactful, you can. If you want to be impactful, you won't. You're just gonna have to give up the possibility. You have to accept the possibility that it won't look like what we call impactful in the worldly standards. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Like you just have to get rid of that mindset. If it's one person, if it's 10 persons, if it's 1,000 people, whatever God has called me to, like that's where I'm going to be impactful. Or the quote that I always use before, like be where your feet are. A lot of times, even in like for example, my sphere of things, where there's 5 people in front of me that I can impact, but I'm thinking about the thousands of Instagram followers that I want to be impactful too. But I'm called to just focus on these 5. You know what I'm saying? But for some people, it may be that thousands, and who knows what that is for Mike Todd. We don't know his motive. We don't know all this type of stuff. I haven't had a conversation.
And that's
with him,
why I think believing the best is important. But like I said, I don't think you do it blindly. I still think accountability is because, like I said, I mean, I don't even listen to Mike Todd's preaching. I just always
every
clips
Monday
every
morning.
Time somebody comes and it's like
Monday morning.
Look at this is crazy or whatever, and I'm like, oh God, or whatever. But I'm just like, it's not just him, but like pastors in general and leaders.
Yeah, I mean, he's just hot right now.
Yeah. So he's at the forefront. But it's just this new.
He's been hot for a while. It's crazy how long this man been hot. Yo.
Yeah.
He knows how to ride a wave.
He's at the forefront of the church. In whether people don't like
scary. That's an even scary statement to say.
That
you know
is
what I'm
very
saying?
scary. He may not be the best.
I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong, but I'm saying if that's what we're saying, we have a problem, bro. Because, I mean, yes.
Do we have a problem?
No. All right, let me rephrase that. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
How we look at it is the perspective, right? If we are saying, how am I going to phrase this? You know what I'm saying? If one person is very responsible for
it's not just him.
Overall perception of.
I'm saying he's one of at a certain point in time, Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar.
They were the face of Christianity.
These were the Benny Hinn. These people were more so at the forefront of whatever.
I see what you're saying.
Now you have Mike Todd, you have Furtick, you have
John Gray,
John Gray, Bill Johnson.
John Gray. You had Carl Lentz.
Yeah,
you had
right. Who tapped more into street culture and stuff like that. Right. Not street culture. Let me not say it like that. But he was more related to a younger crowd or whatever. Yeah. And so or a certain demographic. But so now it's just different. Mike Todd is a part of. Yeah, I mean,
he's capitalized the internet space right now.
Pretty much. So it's just I do think that this guy Sam is deep breathing. Why are you deep breathing?
No, I don't know. I just be thinking, bro. It's just where we are culturally as far as church and pastors. Like, man, just I don't know. I'm still trying to process everything because things just seem really messy. And just learning how to really trust certain leaders. And at the end of the day, I always just say this. You know what I'm saying? We all got to walk out our own salvation in fear and trembling.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just for me, it's just I always look into my own life before I now look at someone else and be like, this is what they're doing wrong. Because it's although I don't have a platform where I'm preaching, it's I'm still a believer at the end of the day. Just like Mike Todd is a believer, just like he's a Christian. He's just like he's God's son. Exactly. I'm also God's son. And there's a standard of life we're all called to live. You know what I'm saying? So it's just I take everything with a grain of salt. I'll look at situations and I'll truly process how I personally feel about it. Because it's really easy to jump on the bandwagon and be like, well, all these people are saying these things about Mike Todd. Let me also jump on this emotionally as well. But it's what do you actually think for your own self? Right. So for this whole Mike Todd situation, I don't really have a stance on where I feel about what he's doing or what he said. You know what I'm saying? If he's really reaching people, you know what I'm saying? He's reaching people. Who am I to say who he's reaching, who he's not reaching? You know what I'm saying? He's definitely reaching people. But at the end of the day, it's just I just want his life to have integrity. I just want him to be integral at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Believe in the best.
Just believe in the best.
And I think to an extent, just to speak to the illustrations that he and other churches may present, I was in a group chat and I was saying, well, Jesus, who we're following after, there were some ways that he healed people that, could have seemed extravagant to others. When he spit in the mud and put it in Cuz's eye, it's like, did he have to do that? You know what I'm saying? Did he have to?
He ain't make it a whole show, though.
Bro. I mean, he spit in mud to put it.
I mean, he could have just added, been
he added spike.
No, but I'm saying
he didn't have to walk on water, bro.
But we don't know the amount of people that was there that actually saw that.
There were people who were utterly amazed by what he did. Yeah. And he did amazing things.
But I don't think he would have been like, hey, yo, hey, look. Hey, yo, everyone, look real quick. Look what I'm about to do. Right. Because I feel like now on social media,
we're how can we get people to see this?
Yeah, it's how do we get people to see this? Strategic planning. Oh my gosh,
definitely.
So it's literally clout chasing. It's how can we make sure that we shut IG down? But I don't think Jesus. He was not necessarily concerned about getting the attention of other people to see. It just happened naturally.
He would heal people and tell them not to tell others.
Exactly.
Of course, they would run off and be like, "Yeah, he just did this for me." But
so that's the thing. So I feel like the biggest things for me, and like Sam said,
Hope Kirkin, bro. Sorry, I just hear her yelling.
But not to stay on this topic too long. But there's some things like Sam said, looking at myself internally, right? So for me, the biggest things, and we've said this on the pod many times, like there's a difference between happen to do what you're called to do and have a following, and a difference between chasing one, right? The motives are completely different, and one causes you to do things you may not have wanted to do or had seen yourself doing later down the line. I believe that there's a lot of pastors that probably got in the game, and if you would have told them now if you would have told them back then what they're doing now to get more like the marketing and all that, they would have been like, yeah, nah, that's not it.
Fickle.
Yeah, so I think that those differences there is big, but then also like as us believers and stuff, being impressed by what Jesus is impressed by, and that's not to say like, there's a lot of great sermons out there and all that type of stuff, but what he was most impressed by was the way of life, the way you lived, the way that you accepted his way and walked this Christian life. So, because if you think about it, Sundays is an hour. The sermon is an hour of the rest of that entire week. How many hours are there in a week?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Anybody can put together a good show for an hour. And not to say that they're putting on shows or whatever it may be, but the bigger thing for us as believers is let's, one, look at our own life and see how the rest of our life looks. You know what I'm saying? And two, our leaders that we're looking at, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's really digest what is our criteria for the people that we listen to, the people that we, look to be like in a sense, like follow as we follow Jesus.
Like, why do we like them?
Right. So
why do we listen to them? Like, why do we follow them?
Yeah.
And let's make sure we're not, looking at the log in somebody else's, the spec in somebody else's hour when we got a whole log in ours.
Take that log out, bro.
So, and this is not to say, I think, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, and this is not to say you can't criticize unless you're perfect, because I think a lot of people have that mentality. I can't hold accountable because I have internally, like, there's a guilt there, like that's activated by guilt. I'm guilty about the sins that I commit, or where not even project, because I'm guilty about it. I don't hold accountable, because I know if I hold accountable, then I'll be held accountable myself.
Oh, that's facts. That's real.
Hey, bro. So it's just like you have to make sure that as a believer, you recognize that I want to be held accountable, and it is my duty to hold other believers accountable. Or whatever. So
that's real.
Nah, that's the biggest thing.
Man, speaking good.
I remember, sports analogy.
Go ahead, bro.
I remember when usually, like, I think this is high school, right? Our coach at the beginning of the year, like, called everybody had to come to the front. I may have told this story before, but we had to say something that our team could hold us accountable to. And the moment you get up there and you say what that is, when you're in practice and you're loafing, they'll bring it up. You know what I'm saying? So it's similar to our walks. Like, if we come and we say
we're Christian and we follow the way, and somebody sees us doing something, and this is like, yo, it's not even out of rebuke, but like, yo, didn't questioning
you?
It?
Yeah, didn't you say that you're not about this and whatever? Person who gets defensive is one that's you can say that they're not really about it.
Come on,
you know what I'm saying? But if somebody who sits there and takes the criticism or takes the rebuttal, and they're like, you right, man, like, I loafed, you know what I'm saying? Just keep it at that. I'm gonna do better. Imagine what that would do for the body, bro. Imagine what that would do for Christian Twitter.
You know, so long story short, I think criticism is good, accountability is good, but you have to remember that your goal as a believer is also to cover the church and pray for the church. So a lot of us, we do a lot of talking but not enough praying. So hey,
Mike Todd,
you've been complaining about your church for 6 years. Pray about it. You know what I'm saying? You've been complaining about pastors on social media. Pray about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, shut your mouth.
Honestly, because that's a good point. Because at the end of the day, bro, if prayer isn't in the mix along with the criticism, then there's somewhat of a lack of trust that God can really take this person and mold their heart. You know what I'm saying? A tweet can go far, but a prayer can go farther.
Come on.
You might want to tweet
Say
that.
Live.
Tag me, don't tag me. I ain't looking for the followers.
This guy trying to be impressive.
Clout, right.
Hey.
But
trying to be impressive.
And impactful, boy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? 2 for 1. But nah, man, yeah, for sure. Like, prayer is always something that is not out of reach. You know what I'm saying? It's right there. It's probably the easiest thing rather than going and typing a 240 character tweet. Yeah. But yeah.
240 characters now?
Now, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's like 2, yeah.
Ooh.
But yeah. All that to say.
I won't be talking about it.
What was my topic? I think my topic kind of goes, mine kind of goes with what we're talking about. It's just the rule of life. And for me, in spite of everything that's been going on, even with like, last year and even this year with leaders and stuff like that, and just social injustice, all that, a rule of life is something that's been brought to my attention. And that meaning like it's not rules to follow in the way that you live, but more so like practices and systems that you put in place that will help you, one, become more like Christ, but two, just help you live in a way that is impactful and productive. Yeah. So like I've been trying to establish certain things I do, whether it's like waking up in the morning and just having a moment of silence, or just making sure I'm off social media by 10 p.m. and not on until the next day at 10 a.m. Like certain small little things, because I realize a lot of the little things in our lives that we do are the things that over time end up having us in a place that we never thought that we'd be. Yep. We could see that with leaders. We could see that with our country. We can see that with any situation, like the little things, the details of our lives that really impact. So me setting up these like little small rule of life, even before going into marriage, like I'm not going to be perfect going into marriage, but I want to help set up myself to a point where, I help minimize a lot of the things that could happen. Yeah. So that's what I really been trying to focus on. And I think that relates to anything, even with like, what we were talking about with our leaders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for people who deal with like bigger sins, like, let me not weight sin as big or little, but sometimes in our mind we'll like fornication versus like lying or something like that. We'll just be like, oh, the big little, but like I think when you win the small battles, it helps you win the bigger ones. So like, for instance, if you deal with sexual sin and let's go to the big one, masturbation, right? Like if you say no to yourself, let's say you're somebody who struggles with like eating late. When you formulate discipline with telling yourself no with, like not eating late, making that choice of eating whatever you're eating, which is the small battle, when it comes to the bigger one where you're telling yourself no for you're about to like fornicate or have or whatever the other sin you're about to do is, it helps the discipline. You know what I'm saying? Like saying no to yourself in the small parts, like, okay, should I go and do this? Should I be lazy in this moment, or should I get up and go do this thing? And sometimes I literally in my mind tell my body, no, get up and do this thing. And I do it. And I realize it helps me in the long run to say no to my flesh as a whole. Big but time, so I would definitely side with Moses as far as having like those self-awareness systems. Self-awareness, that's a great word, because you have to look at yourself and say, if I do this, this will be the result of this. And a lot of times practicing a rule of thumb or like a rule of life or doing one of those things, like it can help. I was like, what was the terminology they used? But like practicing one of those things can pour out into other places of your life. Yes, like I realized when I'm fasting, it's easier for me to be Christ-like. You know what I'm saying? Because one, I'm closer to God, you know what I'm saying? And I'm surrendering like daily, and I'm already telling my flesh like, nah, you're not about to get any meals today, or however I'm fasting. And so now it helps me like, no, I'm not doing that, or no, I'm not having these thoughts, or no, Yeah.
I think also like, having a significant other really points out those things that you need to work on, man. I know I always talk about like significant others in marriage, but I mean, I'm a married man. True. Nah. And these are just some nuggets that I'm just sharing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, obviously, like, I think I said this a long time on the pod. There are aspects of you that a lot of people are not close enough to you to be able to pull out about yourself. You know what I'm saying? But like when you live with someone, you know what I'm saying? Like when this person like knows your every day, they know how lazy you can be sometimes. Yep. A lot of people don't know how lazy you are. A lot of people don't know like how foul your language can be sometimes. Right. Yep. A lot of people don't know like the negative habits that you have, whether that's just like, I ain't gonna throw anybody under the bus, whatever negative habits you have, you know what they are. Like those are things that, I personally like try to look into myself to change. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously I told you guys I'm married. Soon, you know what I'm saying, we will have kids. So like I'm trying to identify like things within myself that I don't want my kids to see, or things that I don't want them to see, but I also don't want to like deal with, or like things that I don't want to manage better. You know what I'm saying, or things that I don't want my kids to like copy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to like now start thinking about those things intentionally, because like communication is huge. How you speak to your spouse is going to be huge. How you guys handle conflict is going to be huge. You know what I'm saying? Even down to like how you handle phone calls. Like how you talk to your boss if that person calls. How you talk to your friends when they call. Like people would just be thinking, kids are too young to understand. They're not going to remember this. But it's just like those are the like like the formative years. Like those are the formative years that you got to be mindful of, like how you behave. And I'm not saying like to put on a facade or anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, to really pray for like genuine change, for you to actually desire to change. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just really desiring to be more Christ-like, I would just say. You know what I'm saying? Because there are certain aspects of ourselves where, you know, it's just simply just not Christ-like. I'm just throw it out there. It's simply not. And it's just like we gloss over it and tell ourselves it's not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Yelling, it's not a big deal. Or, you know, doing, things. You know, communicating this way is not a big deal. Or lying is not a big, whatever the case may be. So a lot of internal reflection, not only for the betterment of yourself, but for the betterment of the people around you. You know what I'm saying? For you to be a good father, for you to be, if that's something you desire, for you to be a good husband. You know what I'm saying? So
good friend.
Or for you to be a good friend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
son,
friendship.
daughter.
And I was just talking to my wife about this last night, like how friendships change over time. You know what I'm saying? Like naturally. It's not because like, oh, like we're just falling out or I don't really bang with you no more. It's just like people change. Yeah. You know, what you desire changes. What you want out of friendships change. Like when you become a mom, you want to have friends with other moms and have those conversations about like being a mom. And like things just change. So it's just like you also got to be open to that as well.
Man,
I think a part of life.
Yeah, man. And it's not something that's natural. I mean, it's I mean, let me not say natural, but it's not. It's something that notification.
Food arrived.
But it's
I wish.
But it's something that you have to be intentional with. You know, it's something that you may not feel like doing it every day. Like whether it's waking up and just having silent time. Sometimes your mind's gonna be racing even in the silent time. But just doing it daily, you're gonna get to a place where, you know, it's a normal thing for you. Whether it's waking up and making sure you get a workout in. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, like it's gonna be something that you work out, but over time, you know, it's gonna help. And those small things in your life really, really go back and they mold a lot of the bigger areas of our lives. So man, it's just being intentional, man. Don't coast through life. Try to take as much control as you can. I mean, of course, Holy Spirit's guiding us, but
that's real.
But that was
the
good.
Holy Spirit leads you.
What was on your mind?
What was on your mind?
I think we told y'all.
We got a lot.
Hey, man.
A lot on our mind.
Malcolm and Murray, watch that joint.
I'm just trying to go like 10 minutes less than this, but this ain't bad. This is our usual time.
Yeah.
Like,
hopefully you guys enjoy. Welcome back.
120.
You know what I'm saying?
We back. The Greater Podcast.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, whether you watching or listening.
Share this joint.
Share this joint. Share with somebody that may be in a Malcolm and Marie relationship. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who may be on Twitter with the Twitter thumbs. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who just wants to hear some good stuff.
Right.
You know
or somebody who talking about they passed a little too much.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Positively or negatively.
Send that thing. Send
you know
that
what I'm
saying?
But yeah, man. It's the Greater Podcast. We back, man. Share, reviews, whatever it is, like, you know, just help engage with us. Comment in the comment section too, like, you know, whatever you thought about the pod, what stuck out to you, what didn't. Next episode's 4x4, so send us questions. We'll have everything in the description. But yeah, man, I think I got everything.
That's it. I mean, I ain't got nothing. Nope. Happy New Year.
It's the Greater Podcast 2021.
Yeah,
we back. And we out.
Yeah.